we're going to take a look at how to do some more text work in our HTML page. And this deals with more the semantics or the look of your text or content versus the layout of or structure of your HTML page. So let's go ahead and create a new document here. And I'm going to start out with the basic structure now, the HTML structure. It's going to be carrots, exclamation point, doc type, all caps, HTML. And then I'm going to have a head tag. And I'm going to have a meta char set equals capital UTF -8 quotation mark caret. I'm going to have a title. I'm just going to say this is practice \T I title. And then I'm also going to have a closing head \head. And I kind of like to make these line up a little. So, and then after that, I'm going to have a body. Give some white space \body spell. And then \HTML. Okay, so that's the standard structure for an HTML5 file. And I'm just going to save. Oops, let's close that up. Sorry. I'm going to also put an H1 in there so we can see something. And it's going to be called practice text -H1. Okay. I'm going to save as. And you want to make sure you're in your web design folder. So, yep. And then I'm going to rename it and make sure you get rid of that TXT. And you're going to name it your last name. Mine is Bauman. And I'm going to call it text.html. So again, make sure that the extension or the file name is not .txt, but is .html. Hit save. And now you'll see that my file registers as an HTML file. This is the file name right here. You should also have that on the MacBooks or on the Macs. And then you, if you're using the text app on your Chromebook, you will have things highlighted right in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and also run this. I'm going to open up my files folder. And I'm going to go to my WD folder. And then I have Bauman text. And I'm going to drag it to my browser so I can see my work in real time. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the text and how we can change some of that. This is called semantic text, and that basically means that you are changing things based on how they look, or you're adding extra markup versus changing the structure of the page. So let's go ahead and do a paragraph. P tag. This is a practice page about different markups for text. And then a \P. And you can hit save now that you've saved your file as your last name, the word text.html. And I'm going to hit refresh and I should see my paragraph. Next, let's talk about things being bold. And I'm going to first use maybe an H3. And this is going to be bold text. H3. And we're going to show below that what bold text is. So I'm going to have a paragraph. This is showing the bold text I'm using. So I'm going to be using the bold, meaning B, tag to show bold features. So I'm going to use B and do bold element. And that's what the B tag does. And I'm going to close that paragraph out with a \P. So I'm going to save that, hit refresh. And now this is my example of bold text. This is showing the bold text, bold. And it's using the B element. So it uses opening tag B and a closing \B. Next, we're going to do italicize. So I'm going to have H3 again. Good practice. And that's called italic text, \H3. And in my paragraph, for this one, I might say, this is showing italic text. And that's, you'll see what that looks like. So you're going to use the I tag. So I italic text. And that means it's kind of slanted, \I. And then close out that paragraph, \P. And I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to refresh. And now I have italic. See how the italic text is kind of a little bit fancier and kind of slanted? That's what italics does. So it's just kind of like when you take notes or you're writing and you want to make something bold or make some italic. You can do this right in line with the text. So you'll notice that when we bold something, it's still in the same line as the rest of the sentence. Same with italic text. It's still in the same line. It's not dropping those words down or making it like a paragraph. It's keeping it right in the same line as everything else. And that's called inline. It's an inline element. So it doesn't affect the spacing around it. It just affects the way it looks. Next we're going to do is called a subscript or subscript or superscript, and that's creates it more mathematical. So like, let's say you want to make 2 to the second power, you could use a superscript, or sometimes they call it a subscript, but it's, for this one, it'll be a superscript. So I'm going to use H3, and I'm going to say superscript and \H3 here. Let me move this a little bit over. \H3. And I'm going to make a paragraph and say, this is using a superscript. I keep calling it super. And sorry, you can't see that. Let me move this over here so you can see it. A superscript. And it's used for like suffixes, used for dates and math purposes. Okay, so period, and then I'm going to show you. So you might have, let's see, 2 to the second power. So I'm going to put 2 here, and then I'm going to use SUP, and that's that superscript. So SUP element, 2, and then \SUP. And then a \P to close that paragraph off. So I'm going to save. I'm going to just move this over a little bit. And I'm going to refresh this. And then see how it makes it a superscript? It raises it to the second power. It puts it up. That's what sup does. It raises up. So you could also do, let's do another example here. You could do CO2 if you're into science. \SUP. Save. And refresh. And now it's going to do CO2. Okay. So you can do things of that nature. You can also do oh, sorry. So that's up. You could also do I guess that's wrong. You could also do a subscript, which is below. So let's not, CO2 is probably not the best example for that. So let's also do a subscript. My fault, guys. So that was a superscript, so that goes up like a power. And I'm going to make another H3 here and do a subscript. So H3, subscript, backslash H3. And I'm going to do an example. I'm going to do a paragraph. This is using a subscript, which goes underneath, used for dates and math as well. Okay, back. So I'm going to do CO and then sub, which is below 2 backslash sub, and then a backslash P. That close it out. I'm going to save and refresh. So you might have something like CO2 like that. But the superscript is up, so that shows it. So you'll notice that our practice text is showing us the different types of elements that we can use to change the look of our text. Okay, so we have superscript and subscript. And then there's also something called white space. Now you'll notice that, for example, let's move this here. If I do another H3, I call this white space. You'll notice that when I do a paragraph, and I might say, let's see, we go to Saugatuck schools. Here, let me move this a little bit. If I put, we go to Saugatuck schools, and let's say I do a lot of white space in my code, in my HTML code. Let's see if the white space appears on my page. So I'm going to save this and refresh. And you'll notice it does not. So if we want that white space, if we want to have some space in between our text or in between something, we actually have to use our HTML, or our browser doesn't read the white spaces in between our code. It just, we use white space to visually see our text or our HTML markup, but it doesn't read it as such. So in order to do that, in order to have some white space, we actually have to use something. So I'm going to do another paragraph, and I'm going to say this uses a tag to create white space. So I might do, we go to Saugatuck schools, and I want white space to be before Saugatuck, right? To show that. So to do that, ampersand, oops, and that's the and sign, ampersand, NBSP, so that's called non-breaking space, and then a semicolon. So if we want a bunch of those, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to hit Command Control C and then Control V to just paste a couple in there. Sorry about that. Save, refresh, and now we have our white space in between 2 and Saugatuck. Okay, so that's using the ampersand NBSP, and then it's the semicolon. So make sure you use that. Okay, so that's white space. Next, what we need to do is we're going to do line breaks. And line breaks are using a BR, and then we're also going to use a line, or create a line, and use an HR. So let's go ahead and give some white space here. And we're going to do H3, and this is going to be line break, /H3, and paragraph. We are going to do a line break. And it's going to be right here. So we're going to do inside the paragraph, BR, and it's going to be a slash. And this is one that doesn't have, it seems kind of different than your closing tag. It doesn't have an opening and a closing tag. It just has one. So it doesn't need anything more. This is where it starts a new line. Okay, and then I'm going to do a /P, save, and you're going to see the line break. Refresh, and the line break. Let me open this up. There it is. We are going to do a line break. This is where it starts a new line. Perfect. And then we're also going to do one more here for today's sample. We are going to do what is called a horizontal rule. So, it's going to be H3, and we're going to name this horizontal rule /H3, and hit return. And this is going to be basically a break, between lines using a horizontal. And then I'm going to use my HR. So HR, and it's going to be a slash. And then I'm going to come back down and do line. And then /P. Okay. So, I need, let's see. So I have my horizontal line, but then I need a closing /P here. Before that, my fault. So I'm going to do a P here. I'm going to make a line, and then I'm going to have one more paragraph here. Kind of weird, but okay. So basically, it should have a paragraph that says a break line between lines using a horizontal. There's going to be a horizontal line, and then the word line. So let's see if that is true. Hit refresh. And here we go. And there's my horizontal line. Okay, so that concludes this little follow along tutorial. You can submit your HTML file in Schoology. Please don't take a screenshot. Please just submit the entire HTML file.